Sam was feeling miserable. After being told he wouldn't pull passengers anymore, he was repainted to a very dark gray. He missed his silver paint with gold stripes, but that was far from the saddest thing on his mind. Everywhere he looked, he saw steam engines who had been replaced by diesels and retired from service. Only a few of the biggest steam engines still had work to do. Marilyn and Ed sometimes pulled extra trains during the busy season, but otherwise they spent most of their time in the roundhouse. Andrew, Hubert, David, and even Sarah had all not worked in a long time. There was one other steam engine that Sam was working with, Hannah, David's sister, who had been repainted and reassigned like he had. She helped Sam to clear snow from the rail yard, but it eventually came time for her to be retired as well. They said they'd keep me around a while, she told Sam, for emergencies, and then they'll donate me for display. That's good at least, Sam replied. Then he asked her, "Are you happy with that? Being put on display, I mean?" Hannah considered. "I suppose so. It may not be as fun as flying down the tracks with a passenger train, but it's still one way for me to be really useful. I never thought of it that way. I wonder what my life would be like if I were on display." "You'd certainly have interesting things to say," Hannah joked, and they laughed. As time passed, Sam did some more odd jobs. Once in a while, he'd see another steam engine, usually Ed, pulling cars full of grain. He'd also see Sylvia and Robert as they passed by, honking their horns in greeting. Sam was always happy to see his friends, but couldn't stop feeling sad. "I'm one of the last steam engines in service, maybe in the whole world, and when I'm gone," he couldn't bear to even think it. Finally, his crew brought him news. It wasn't good news, but it was what they had been waiting for. "I'm sorry, Sam," his engineer said, "but they don't have any more work for us." "Then I'm going to be retired, aren't I?" Sam said sadly. His crew stayed with him a while. They said they would retire too. They didn't want to work on a railroad without steam engines. Sam appreciated them trying to cheer him up, but soon his crew had to go home to their families. They said goodbye, and Sam was left alone. His firebox grew cold, and he wondered what would happen to him next. After so many years, steam had finally been replaced by diesels. Some were saved and donated to museums, but many more were scrapped. A great chapter in the history of railroading had come to an end. But these stories aren't over yet.